Hello! Big news from our friends over at DistroKid. They now have an app. This app works on iOS and Android, of course, and it's available in the Apple Store and Google Play stores and all the stores where you buy apps. Go check it out. It's got a lot of cool features. You can upload new releases, you can get notified when you've earned royalties. Awesome. You can withdraw from the app via push notifications. A little dangerous for me, but rad. Anyways, go check it out. It's all at distrokid.com/app. And don't forget, you can still get 30% off your DistroKid account by going to distrokid.com/VIP/tour stories. Have a great one. We would like to celebrate our friends and supporters over at isotope.com. Fine makers of audio software for repair, mixing, and mastering. You know their goods: RX10, Neutron 4, Ozone 11, Nectar 4. Chris and I love them, we use them, and we know you'll love them too. And right now they're having a New Year's sale on many of their software bundles. Go to isotope.com and check it all out. And use code RUIN10 when you check out to get your discount. Again, it's izotope.com. And enjoy. Hello, Tour Story listeners. Thank you for your continued support, and welcome to Season 4. I'd like to take a second to thank our friends and sponsors over at Isotope. Here at Ruinous, Chris and I rely heavily on easy-to-use tools like RX and Ozone for all of our audio repair, mixing, and mastering. Now, Tour Story listeners can get 10% off Isotope plugins or try Music Production Suite Pro for free for 30 days using code FRET10. That's FRET10. To get your discount and check out all of their easy-to-use products, go to isotope.com/ruinous. That's izotope.com/ruinous and use code FRET10. And thank you for listening. Hi, Charity.
Hi, Joe. How's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
Good.
Where are you?
So I'm in Nashville right now. The band is kind of rehearsing out here for a couple weeks, and we're getting ready for the first tour back.
All right.
Essentially. Yeah.
But you don't live in Nashville, do you?
No. I still live in Seattle, Washington.
Cool. Where do you live in Seattle?
We live in West Seattle.
Oh, that's where I am, because that's where I live.
What?
Yeah, I'm in West Seattle right now.
No freaking way. I thought you were in Portland.
Everyone thinks that. And then when I lived in Portland, everyone thought I lived in Seattle.
Oh my God. Well, we could have done this at a distance in your backyard or something like that.
Yeah. I did a little bit of that in 2020 around West Seattle with Megan Jasper and John Richards, I think.
Freaking best. Yeah.
Yeah, Alki. I'm going to Alki. For the listeners, Alki is the beach town of Seattle, if you will. Yeah. And I'm going to Alki today at 2 for some froyo with an 8-year-old.
Where do you get froyo?
I don't know.
There's like a couple spots. Very beach town vibes.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to if you're down for neighbors, that's incredible, and we'll have to get together when you get back. That's amazing.
Yeah. So you're getting ready for some touring. Are you looking forward to it? Getting back on the rock and roll road?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think especially having had, it's kind of two-pronged. It's like, especially having had such a break and separation from essentially the, like, kind of becomes a bit of a hamster wheel when you get into the touring cycle. And, having that, the universe kind of saying you're going to have a break felt really healthy, albeit, it was surrounded by uncertainty and, so there's that. And then I think, especially having that extended of time off and the reality of like not being able to do the thing that you enjoy most and, is the thing that you are most passionate about. It's like you have this newfound gratitude, getting back into it. And yeah, so I'm just extra grateful, I guess, to get back going
Yeah.
and playing, doing the exchange, humans again.
Yeah, it's important. How do you think it'll be different?
I don't know. I hope that, when there's like these giant kind of lessons learned that's shared, I hope that we all kind of retain that gratitude
Mm-hmm.
of being able to experience kind of a live thing like live music. And I hope that we don't just get back to forgetting that 2 years of trauma and I hope that we retain, that kind of sense. And I think that we will. I think that
Yeah.
for us, I think that will kind of be like this unspoken, and we'll probably acknowledge it from stage, but kind of sense of like unifying sense, of things.
Do you think you're individually any different this time around? You're going to go out there and
Oh yeah.
you're going to get your muscles back?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's funny. Yeah. Speaking of muscles and getting back to it, it's like, we've been rehearsing this last week here in Nashville and kind of figuring out these newer songs from the new record, spending a lot longer obviously on those, and then we kind of pepper in some of the older tunes, and we're like, gosh, we haven't played these in 3 years.
Yeah.
And then it's just like getting back on the bike and you're like, wow, I have muscle memory. And which is, I feel like, great for songs as kind of a side tangent. It's like when you kind of get into that space, it allows kind of room for being able to emotionally engage and perform, in a freer way, versus just like mechanically technically trying to make sure you're playing every note right and everything.
Yeah. One thing I've been experiencing, I'm starting to play shows again, kind of once a week or something. And it's it's a weird thing because when I rehearse, like one time I over rehearsed, right? And then I'm just cerebral about the whole show and it's all in my head. And then last week I didn't rehearse. I just didn't have time. So I didn't go through the set. And it went so much better.
Yeah.
But it was real. Well, I take that back. I felt like it went better. I haven't heard the playback yet, but
Yeah.
It's really kind of tricky to get in between that calloused muscle and still be present. And I think it's tricky in the sense when you're rehearsing for it. Eventually, within a week of touring, you're probably pretty good. But yeah, for me, it's been top of mind more than previously, I'd say, with this giant break. So it seems like, you guys were working on music over the last couple years with this new wonderful record, Every Shade of Blue. But I'm sure, like the rest of us, you still had some spare time. Do you find yourself doing anything you didn't think you'd be doing, or anything that surprised you? Picked up any bad habits? Good ones?
Yeah, I mean, a couple things. I picked up a child along the way.
Whoa.
So that was kind of unexpected.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Yeah, she's incredible and kind of like the best mindfulness teacher, I would say. Really causes you to be present. But so that was, kind of was a huge kind of backdrop of our
Yeah.
she was we found out that we were pregnant in June of 2020. So kind of wrote out the entire a lot of that first year, and then she was born at the very second to the last day of December 2020. Yeah, so that was, pregnancy kind of was that full year, and then so that's been a huge occupation that I hadn't experienced, previously. And then we also, it's so funny. So Maddie, who also is in the band, we actually spent a few years, and it just like reached completion in January, February of 2020, like a project studio in our backyard. And so that kind of being completed, we didn't think that we would see it very frequently, expecting it to kind of be continuing the album cycle. And then March 2020 hit, and we're like, shit, this is wow, like we might be using this thing. And then, you know, had a kid, so having a, like, it's in a, like a detached garage kind of thing, having that separation of space where we can kind of be creative and do, you know, we ended up doing like Zooms with radio stations, and like, because the song was taking off, you know, while we're like, you know, we didn't have any kind of engagement or connection to it because we're just at home. We're like, okay, I guess we're doing radio promotion from our backyard. And so anyway, that was like a new thing and was pretty great to have, to be able to use. And then, you know, I love gardening, was able to garden a lot more. And, you know, Bad Habits, I think like everyone, I mean, not everyone, but a lot of us, maybe we were like, hey, this is like every day's Friday night, you know, or like 2-week vacation. And eventually that kind of was like, and the realization of being pregnant, I was like, okay, this is actually a great time to get healthy. And, you know, so.
When you told me you were building a studio and you were either pregnant or had a newborn, my first thought about a studio was like, oh, a place to take a nap.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Well, I love this new record.
Oh, thank you.
I want to talk about it, but first I'd like to play my current favorite number on it, Paradigm.
Oh, okay.
Sound cool?
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Energy and light are the hardest to find when you're walking through life with nothing but pride. And nothing good happens after midnight. Staring at the stars, something blinking in the dark. An emergency of cars is breaking my heart, but I can't stop watching it the whole time. I can be all the things you like a paradigm. I could be older with my eyes on you. You can be all up in my life like a parasite. It'll be over in a night or two. I could go through the rerun, it'll be fun. I could go through the rerun. Destiny aside, it's been killing me inside, but a good exercise at fucking with my mind. It doesn't matter, we can rewind. I could come for the rerun, it'll be fun. I could come for the rerun. I can be all the things you like a paradigm. I could be older with my eyes on you. You can be all up in my life like a parasite. It'll be over in a night or two. I could come for the rerun, it'll be fun. I could come for the rerun. I need your energy running for me. I need your energy now. I need your energy running for me. I need your energy now. I can be all the things you like a paradigm. I could be older with my eyes on you. You can be all up in my life like a parasite. It'll be over in a night or two. I could come for the rerun, it'll be fun. I could come for the rerun.
Yes, that's a cool song.
Oh, heck yeah. That's That means a lot. I love that you gravitated towards that one.
Yeah, I love that there's a lot of songs on the record. At first, when I saw the, I think it's 16 tracks or something. But at first I was like, oh, finally someone's making a big record.
And then,
but a lot of people are. I mean, it's totally. A little more split than I thought. I was just like blindly jaded.
Yeah,
for no
same.
Reason. It's like, everyone makes one singles now. It's like, no, that's not true.
Yeah, we were thought like emergent for a time of like, yeah, we're gonna have a double. And remember Wilco, like and double record and all the songs, and it's like Big Thief, Beach House, like everybody.
Yeah, just... right.
It's almost more. I feel like it's even more artistic, like going against the grain, follow your convictions, to have like short EP or something to be released during this time.
Yeah. Yeah, but that, out of all those songs, it's there's something about Paradigm, it's killer. And there's a little, after listening to it quite a few times, I think it's the verses that it's got a little Elliott Smith in it.
Whoa.
And it kind of surprised me. I was just like, oh, that's kind of
whoa, that's a very cool reference. That makes me like the song more.
So you worked on this over the last year, I guess, and you worked with a bunch of people. You worked with Jesse Shatkin, John Hill, Andrew Sarlo. What was it like working with multiple producers, engineers?
I think especially for this band, with each album, we kind of learn from the album previous, and I think that we react creatively to what came before. It's almost like you always like pendulum swing, like in reaction to the one, and maybe go to the like extreme other way. Although I feel like we didn't necessarily do that here, although I think we just widened our spectrum sonically. But yeah, I think for this band, with how many voices and opinions and varied tastes that we have represented in like a collective, we still have maintained democracy in this band, and like everyone gets paid the same. There isn't like one single leader. There is, kind of clear emergent voices and writing and stuff. But, we kind of have like maintained how we established in that sense. And so I think it's really great to be able to work with more than one producer. And I think especially kind of like Jesse and John Hill, who did Paradigm, they're more from this pop world,
Yeah.
And so it was really refreshing. I brought in Andrew Sarlo, and I loved so much what he's done with the Big Thief records. And so it was really cool to kind of juxtapose and also feel like, oh, my tastes can be represented on a Head and the Heart record, a little bit more than just having this like cohesive thing. And we've always had pop sensibilities to our writing, but I think production wise, we've kind of gone a bit more, in that world on these last couple albums. And so it was cool to kind of widen that spectrum and be able to bring someone in like Andrew Sarlo, and also bring in tunes, for lack of a better term, like indie tunes to a pop producer, and see what the hell like happens. That's a little more intriguing than staying in the lane. And so creatively, so it was really, really great. And most of it was done remotely. Like, we still haven't met Andrew Sarlo in person, which is insane. And then like Jesse came up to Seattle in June and September of 21 with the full band, and we like recorded, kind of basic tracks at Studio Litho, where we recorded our first album. And that was kind of a cool like pairing and juxtaposition of the old and new, because we worked with Sean Simmons, who engineered the first couple of records at Litho, and along with Jesse, who like does a lot of in the box stuff, and less with like physical instrumentation and stuff. And so that was cool dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, that is quite the conglomeration of people and versions of recording, and
totally.
It's, I don't know. I'm still trying to put my finger on what the glue is, but there is glue there. And another one of my favorite songs is that song "Shadows."
Thank you.
Which is, it's the bass line, of course, is just insane. And
that's rad.
Yeah, and I've been listening to Shadows a lot, and then it dawned on me, I was like, maybe it's the bass. There's something about the bass in the whole record, like the bass playing. Yeah, I don't know if that, I don't know if that's
as a drummer.
Yeah. But yeah,
Cool.
there is a glue there. I don't know what it is, but it could be bass.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, that was performed by Chris, and he obviously like took that part as his own, but Maddie originally wrote that bass line in our project studio. That song came together from Maddie and I. That's so interesting. That's cool. Well, I'll pass that on to Chris, 'cause he'll appreciate that.
Yeah. And then how do you write? Another thing that I was thinking about is, I know that you play violin, and a lot of the, there's a lot, because you have some more pop production, and there's a lot of, synth beds in pop production, especially now. But but to me, it seems like those seem like almost like violin lines. When I was been in bands with violins, it's always nice to hear, long single notes. It's always really satisfying to me. How do you write, or do you write with your violin?
Yeah, that's an interesting kind of cool question that I don't normally get. I do write with my violin. Like the composition on most of the songs where you hear real violin, like Shadows, for example, like wrote those things, the more like synthy things, like Every Shade of Blue, for example. I didn't write that arrangement. That was a synth thing in the box that Sammy, who worked with Jesse, created, which is like the bed of that song, and it's so great. But I write with my violin for so long, when I started playing in bands, because I'm classically trained on the instrument, and like when I started playing in bands, I really started using it like an extension of my voice. As one would write a melody with your voice, is kind of how like a melody would come to my head, and then I'd write it on, play it on violin. And so I've come up with like vocal melodies through that, or come up more so with violin melodies from kind of the melodies like roaming around in my head. But I mostly write, with guitar or I mean, I think some of the best melodies in my mind come when you're completely free, not playing any instrument. And that's kind of how Shadows started, the seed of that.
So when it's in your head, what instrument do you go to, or does it?
It would be acoustic. But I think that rhythmically, like, I think songs can be, and you as a drummer would know this and appreciate it, but I think songs can morph so quickly when you're playing the drums, and I mean, can radically change, and I think it's really easy to come up with, I don't know, as a songwriter, I think if you aren't thinking about the rhythm, they can kind of live in this kind of more mid-tempo-y world, So like we have a Linn drum at home, and I've curated like random like Mattel drum pads and just random ass shit with, pre-programmed loops and stuff. And so I think that like writing to drums is really, really informs a song to me. And so exploring that. And then Maddie and I, live together, and we have the studio. So he started playing, I could hear it on piano. I think I started playing like a few notes on the piano, but he can actually play piano. And so I was kind of singing the melodies, and he was playing under it on Shadows. So we're pretty collaborative. Maybe not as collaborative as you would think if you like live and work and breathe with your partner. It's like, oh, do you guys wake up and, he picks up the mandolin and you start fiddling, it's like, no, there's life and a child in between, and just funny daily realities. But yeah, we're collaborative writers together for sure.
And live, how many instruments do you play?
I mean, it's mostly violin and guitar. I play an omnichord, which is essentially like a button pushing toy.
Yeah.
That originally, actually, Jim James, when we were touring early on as a band, I was like, what is that that he was playing? And I was like, that's so great. And that's a really fun, because it has like the different kind of rhythmic options,
Yeah.
That's like a fun thing to write on too.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. For my solo record, I think I wrote 4 of the songs on one of those.
Really?
It's like, okay, chords. I'm trying to remember chords on a guitar, and it's like,
yeah,
I'd rather push that button. it sounds better anyways.
Totally. Totally. And it's kind of warbly, like depending on, you know, that nice analog warmth that is inspiring to me, you know? And so like, it's an inspiring thing.
Yeah. Well, I know you just started rehearsing. Are there any songs that you're just like, what the fuck? This song is going to be awesome live.
Yeah, well, unanimously, actually, the band has kind of been stoked about "Don't Show Your Weakness."
Yeah, which
is a kind of a product of Kenny, piano player, coming up to Seattle actually in January or February of 2020, right as our like studio was being completed, and the three of us, Kenny, Maddie, and myself, wrote that one, and it was like the first song. Well, that's funny because the intention of these last couple of years were like kind of wanting to like get back to be more kind of internally collaborative as a band. Mm-hmm. John had been kind of dabbling a lot with working with other collaborators in LA, which was like, you know, an interesting kind of newer choice that, you know, was inspiring to him. And these last couple of years, you know, at the beginning of the pandemic, we're like, or before it, we were like, let's like get back to kind of being really kind of stretching ourselves internally. And so the plan was going to be just getting together a bunch and writing together. And then we were all kind of like stationed at home. But right before that, Kenny came up kind of as the start of this approach. And that was the first song that we wrote. But anyway, it's wildly fun to play. Everyone, you know, is like, it feels anthemic. It feels like an allusion to our past, but also kind of an exciting reference to the future for us too, you know? And it feels a little bit divergent from, you know, kind of the more popular canon of the record too, which is...
Yeah. You know what? I think this is a little bit nerdy, but the beat is pretty straight on it, but there's an implied triplet delay kind of thing. And I swear to God, that is when you're in a band and that's going on, whether it's in a track or it's a hi-hat or, you know, or a guitar delay, I swear to God, that's the thing where everyone's just like, oh, why does this feel so good?
Yeah.
It's like going da 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 da, but everyone's playing straight.
Yeah. Like kind of a bit more like mechanical. And then you can have these like counter melodies or instrumentation that is like, there's the bed of tension that's consistently building. And then you have these different releases and moments that are countered, on various instrumentation or whatnot. And it's like, it's totally, that's a little nerdy, and that's, that's perfect.
Yeah, I just, right when I heard it, I was like, oh, that triplet delay thing is so cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure they're all going to be awesome. And I wish you guys the best of luck traveling out there.
Thank you.
Before I let you go, anything else you're looking forward to in 22 besides touring and supporting Every Shade of Blue?
Yeah, I think I'm not really thinking too far ahead. I think as I've learned a bit from the past couple of years, it's just like day at a time, week at a time.
Yeah.
Kind of within your control, you know, just like letting go of whatever expectation for the far out future, you know. Yeah, excited though. We're so beyond excited to get back and like have the musical exchange with real humans.
Well, I'm gonna look for you. I mean, if I'm here, I see that you're playing Marymore, I think, in Seattle.
Yeah, in August. Yeah.
Yeah. So if I'm here, I'm gonna bother you guys. All right. Well, travel safely out there.
Thank you.
And I hope to see you somewhere.
Yeah, possibly in the same neighborhood.
That's right. Froyo.
Yeah, Froyo.
All right. Take it easy. Travel safe.
Thank you so much. Yeah, you too.
Bye.
Virginia don't sound like she used to. Walking home late, smoking my lungs and whiskey burning in my veins. December won't be so forgiving. I'm haunted by a ghost of you and my past colliding. I can never go home. When in the night, when in the night, thought that I heard you laughing. Wasn't that you, my darling? Virginia don't sound like she used to. Virginia don't feel like she used to. But I can feel her heart beating for me, baby. I know her heart's beating for me, baby. Virginia don't sound like she used to. Virginia don't feel like she used to. But I can feel her heart beating for me, baby. I know her heart's beating for me, yeah. I've traveled all over in my life, but nothing slowed me down. This place that I used to love, well, it's just another town. Wind in the night, the wind in the night. Remember I caught you dancing alone in that first apartment. Virginia don't sound like she used to. Virginia don't feel like she used to. But I can feel her heart beating for me, baby. I know her heart's beating for me, baby. Virginia don't sound like she used to. Virginia don't feel like she used to. But I can feel her heart beating for me, baby. I know her heart's beating for me, yeah. Virginia don't sound like she used to. Virginia don't feel like she used to. I can feel her heart beating for me, baby.